Hello and welcome to another video, and in this video it's just going to be a very short wrap up for November. And I read 4 things in November. One of those things was The Dark Mirror by Samantha Shannon. I didn't read all of this in November. I have been trying to get through this absolute beast of a book for the past 5 months. And in November, I finally decided to move my arse and actually get through and finish it. And I listened to the last 6 hours of the audiobook on Audible. And I struggled with a lot of this book because the main plot points, like that I feel like I needed to get through this and be like, yes, this is great, happened in that last 6 to 7 hours, and that's what got me through that. I think the first good quarter of the book didn't quite hit, but I'm glad by the end that I did manage to get through that first bit. I gave that 4 stars on Goodreads. I also managed to finish The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore, and I gave this 2 stars on Goodreads. Some of the things that I said in my review is that it is cozy and it does have adorable moments, but there are some plot beats that feel predictable, and a few character decisions had me rolling my eyes, and that from early on I knew this ex-girlfriend would show up at some point, but I didn't know if she would kick up a fuss in front of people or not, and luckily she didn't. And thankfully the main male protagonist in this actually showed a bit of backbone and told her to leave and that he didn't want to know anymore, which I was very, very pleased about. I wouldn't have even done that. I would have just sent her a text when she'd texted and be like, go away, I don't like you anymore, I don't care, just stop. But anyways, I give it 2 stars on Goodreads. I also read The Night and the Moth, which I gave 3 stars on Goodreads, and some of the things that I've mentioned again about the book was that it was intriguing, the premise was something that was definitely a good idea, but the execution was uneven. The religion elements were clunky and pulled me out of the story, and that some sections were very repetitive and predictable, which made it drag in some places. But that said, I didn't hate the book, it just could have been executed better for I think what maybe the author might have been aiming for. But that being said, I didn't necessarily hate it. It was just a mediocre book that just could have been done a little bit better. And the last thing I read in November was The Little Book of Miriam by Miriam Margolyes. I gave this 5 stars on Goodreads, and some of the things I've written in the review is that she is sharp and self-aware from start to finish with this book. Miriam blends absurdity, petty brilliance and chaotic charm into a narrative that is ridiculous and sincere. And to be fair, the best story that I've heard from Miriam Margolyes will always be the Escobar saga, where she purchased a house and she rented it, and unbeknownst to her, some members of a drug cartel had rented the house, and those people were caught, arrested, charged, all of those things, and at some point she would have been arrested and I don't know about arrested, but she would have been questioned, and the newspapers found out about it, and the headlines reading Miriam Escobar, where I found that utterly hysterical. Of course she didn't get in any trouble because you know, the only thing in common was that it was her house. But yeah, it was a good book as ever. So I have no complaints about that book at all. But I always recommend the audiobooks for hers as well, because she reads them all and they are fabulous. They're excellently read by her. And I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and thanks for watching.